Thompson heaving one down the sideline, and he's got Cass over the top. Big side down the sideline. Touchdown. His signature move and his signature performance. Allen, big ball one more time. 58 yards this time.
You're listening to the Bruin Bible. This is your host, Will Decker, bringing you UCLA football content all throughout the year for LA Football Network.
What is good, Bruin Bible listeners? It is your host, Will Decker. We got to get a sponsor in before we start this episode. It's BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and lines and the latest matchup reports for this year's NBA playoffs. BetOnline is your sports intel headquarters this season, as we have you covered for your insider sports wagering needs. From basketball, Major League Baseball, NHL, hockey, golf, to UFC and boxing, the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your home. Make sure you check out BetOnline. Get into the action today. So head to the website or use your mobile device to join, and be sure to use your promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now to the Bruin Bible. What is up, Bruin Bible listeners? Very special guest in the house today, my guy, Darrin Chiaverini, former UCLA offensive analyst. He is now the head coach at Chaffey College, and we are so honored to have him on. Darrin, thank you for making time out of your busy Saturday to be with us today, man.
Will, I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to come on the Bruin Bible and talk a little football and talk about Coach McGovern.
Yeah, man. It's I think that's where we got to start first. It was such a tragic passing within the Bruins community with Bill McGovern. Had been the D coordinator last year. He stepped down due to some health issues. The public really didn't know what was going on. We really were pleased with what the defense was like. We were even more pleased with the man we got to speak with each and every week. Give me your thoughts on McGovern, because this is such a big loss for UCLA and its family all around the world.
I had a, unique experience with Coach McGovern because I was the offensive analyst. So I worked closely with the defensive staff and the defensive coordinator. And so I got to know Bill, really well quickly, and just an unbelievable, human being. We all knew he was a great coach. You could see that from his track record. But, more importantly, the way he treated people within the defensive staff room, the way he treated me as someone that was, working with him just daily. We definitely lost a great person, man. And, prayers to obviously his wife, Collin, and their children. And, we're heartbroken too, because my wife, Shannon, was very close with his wife, Collin. And I was actually texting yesterday with his wife, and, just, it's heartbreaking. I mean, it's not the way it should be, but obviously God had other plans for Bill, but we're going to miss him. But as far as him as a person, as a coach, I mean, obviously you saw the Bruins defense was playing at a very high level early in the season last year. And I think some of the health issues, obviously when Bill had to step away, affected us a little bit going down the stretch run. And, the other coaches did a great job picking up the slack. But, when you lose your leader and you lose the voice of the defense, it's tough. It's tough on the players. It's tough on the staff. And, I'm definitely going to miss Bill. I mean, I enjoyed being around him, every day. And even I'm over at Chaffey now, just thinking about his family, thinking about, Coach Kelly and his wife, Jill, and how close they were with Bill as well. So it's definitely a tough passing for everybody.
And it says a lot just about what you guys thought of the man, and that you guys just kept his health issues under wraps, because we never knew what it was. And, obviously our thoughts and prayers were always with him and with his family today. But you got some big news, man. You are the head coach at Chaffey Junior College. This has been coming for a long time. You've been coaching, since the mid-2000s. What made this the right decision for you to become the head coach there? And how long have you been preparing for this, just to be the head man in charge?
I mean, as we know, the coaching profession is a lot of peaks and valleys. There's no question. My background, when I got done playing professional football, my first coaching job was actually in the junior college ranks. So I started at Mount Sac Junior College for Coach Jastrup, and he gave me an opportunity to coach and, be the receiver coach. And then he promoted me the next year. And then I ended up coming down to UCLA in 2009 as an intern on Coach Neuheisel's staff, and work with the special teams and work with Coach Gans, who's an unbelievable football coach. And then I actually made the move to Riverside City College, another junior college out here in California, with Coach Kraft, who's another great football coach that I got a chance to work with and work under. be his assistant head coach and help recruit that roster and flip that program from 1-9 to 10-1 the first year, and then to 11-0 the second year. And then I was there for about 4 years, and then Coach Kingsbury at Texas Tech, he actually signed a couple of my players out of Riverside City, and he was impressed with how those players spoke about me as a coach. And so he said, "Hey, Chev, I got to talk with you, man." And so, I actually met him down at the Holiday Bowl when they were playing Arizona State, and he really enjoyed the conversation. He flew me out to Lubbock the next week, and then he interviewed me, and then he actually hired me as a full-time Division I assistant on the field as a special teams coordinator. The next year, he promoted me to the receiver coach. We ended up playing LSU in the bowl game, in the Houston Bowl, and then I got offered the offensive coordinator job at the University of Colorado, which is my alma mater. And I spent 6 years there in a bunch of different roles, as the interim head coach, as the assistant head coach, recruiting coordinator, offensive coordinator, receiver coach. And, I thought I was close to getting that job, honestly. I really felt like I was prepared to be the head coach at the University of Colorado. That didn't happen. And then we had a down year, so I ended up getting let go. And then Coach Kelly called me and, asked me to come in and be the analyst on offense. And I really enjoyed working for Chip, and he's a great person, really great coach. I mean, I think people don't get to know him on the personal level because of him being a college football coach, but he's a great person to work. He's the best guy I've ever worked for. And, I can say that hands down, he's the best guy I've ever worked for. He knows how I feel about him. And, I just felt like, at some point in my career, I'm 45 years old. I need to become if I want to be a head coach, I need to become a head coach. And so, even though, coming back down to the junior college is a step back for me, probably professionally, but as far as my responsibilities and for me to be a head coach, it's actually a step up. So I look at it twofold. And so for me, I'm grateful for the opportunity at Chaffey. It's located, off the 210 freeway and right here in Southern California. And, junior college football in California is really good football, and I've coached at the junior college level now going on my 7th year. And, I've been at the Division I level for 10 years, and high level junior college football is not that far away from the next step. And that's why kids that play at a high level here are able to kind of step into Division I schools and play at a high level. So, we're building this thing from scratch at Chaffey. I mean, it really is. I mean, this roster, there was 0 guys on the roster when I got here 2 weeks ago. And so this is a great college football experiment of building a roster within a month and a half, and then, start to go play games in early September. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity, and just been building the staff, obviously recruiting players left and right. And so it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be obviously a challenging year for me just because of how late I got this job, but, I'm up for the task and I'm excited about it.
Coach, I have no doubt you're moving the program in the right direction on that. Let's touch back on some of the coaches you got to work for. Neuheisel, Cliff Kingsbury, and Chip Kelly. I mean, from the outside looking in, I was kind of coming up into my college football fandom when the Oregon offenses were prevalent. I mean, this guy is an offensive genius when it comes to the spread. What have you learned from each of these individual coaches? Because you're in a unique position when it comes to UCLA fandom where you work for Neuheisel and Chip. At different points.
Yeah, and I played for Rick too. So
yeah.
Rick was my college head coach at Colorado. I mean, both great coaches. I mean, different styles, no question. I mean, I think Coach Neuheisel was definitely more about the flash and more about the high level recruiting as far as like him being in the front of it. And Rick's a good football coach. Obviously his son Jerry's on the staff at UCLA. He's a good football coach as well. I have a lot of respect for the Neuheisel family. And, I think Jerry knows how I feel about him, and so does Coach Neuheisel. So, and then Coach Kelly, I mean, the thing that I learned most about being with Coach Kelly is that guy knows the run game inside and out. He really does. And he's brilliant when it comes to game planning the run game. I think that's what, more than anything, being with him, spending that year in the offensive staff and being able to kind of be around the coaches. I mean, there's a lot of good football coaches in there. Coach Drevno's a great line coach. Yeah. Coach Gunderson's a good quarterback coach. Coach Foster, man. Coach Foster's the mayor. I call him the mayor because that dude's like, everybody knows him and everybody respects him. Jerry's a, up and coming coach. He'll be a head coach within the next 10 years. And, there's Coach Ferris, who's a great human being, good football coach. There's a lot of good football coaches in there, but Coach Kelly, there's definitely the engine that runs that room. And, he's just, he just sees things differently. He sees things that other coaches don't see. And I appreciate that being around him because I've always prided myself on being very creative. And I think sometimes when you're around other coaches that don't like your creativity or maybe feel a little threatened by it, it turns them off. So I was actually very, very excited about working with Chip and the whole year. And then he'd ask me questions. He'd ask for feedback, and if I spoke up, he would listen. And I respected that about him. I was an analyst this year, but he still respected my background as a coach and as a player. So I'll always respect that about Chip.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned the run game. The game that comes to mind this year was when you guys were playing at Arizona State and Charbonnet's out. We didn't know that. At least the fans didn't know that until opening kick. And you guys just put Kaz Allen in at running back, a guy that, plays wide receiver traditionally, kind of a Swiss Army knife. And this guy was just running up and down the field against a pretty, solid Division I defense in Arizona State. So, I mean, the run game has always been his bread and butter when it comes to that. Coach, I want to hear, you were drafted the NFL. You had an illustrious college career at Colorado. What pushed you to the game initially growing up? What pushed you to playing football in the first place?
I grew up in Corona, California, which is obviously about an hour from LA. And, my dad is a big baseball fan. And so growing up, he really pushed me to play baseball. I remember vividly, I was living in Corona and I was probably about 9 years old, and all my friends were signing up to play Pop Warner football out here. Back then it was the Corona Rams. And I just wanted to play football so bad. I remember just begging my mom, begging my dad, like, hey, I want to play football. And they're like, no, you're going to get hurt. And I said, I want to play. I want to play. And so I just remember vividly, like, getting an opportunity to, like, sign up for football and then go check out my pads. And then me and my twin brother, Ryan, who's an on-air host in Chicago, we went to the park right across the street, put our pads on, just started hitting each other. And we were 9 years old. We had no idea what we were doing, but we just put football pads on. And that was the greatest feeling of, like, being able to have a contact sport. And then it kind of just grew from there. Like when I went through junior high school into high school, I was a really good football player, ended up my freshman year down at Servite High School. And, I just didn't enjoy the commute from Corona to Servite every day. And, I wanted to come back home to Corona and then end up finishing my career at Corona High School. Had multiple Division I offers coming out of high school, and then ended up going to the University of Colorado and playing for Coach Neuheisel. Had a great college experience in Boulder. Boulder is a great college town.
Beautiful.
Definitely, I'm always going to be rooting for the Buffs. I always root for the Buffs and I root for the Bruins because I've worked for UCLA twice now. And so I definitely, root for the Bruins and root for the Buffs. And I want to see Colorado get back going just because those people and that town deserves it. And it's a great college atmosphere, as you know, Will. Right there, right, that Folsom Field's located right in front of the Flatirons and running behind Ralphie. And, for whatever reason, it's kind of been such an up and down situation there the last, probably 15 to 20 years, really probably since, we went into the Pac-12, honestly. The Big 12 to the Pac-12 move was probably not necessarily the right move for Colorado. But, hindsight's always 20/20, and they're trying to get it going with Coach Prime. And so I've been following closely. We'll see. I think that's another big college experiment, what they're trying to accomplish, and the roster turnover. I don't think that's what college football is really about. But, we'll see how it plays out for them. I'm definitely, going to be rooting for them and rooting for, obviously, the Bruins, too, all year. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in Boulder.
Coach, 1999 NFL draft, you're selected with the 5th round pick. Can you paint the scene for me? Were you watching with the parents? Did you have a party going on? Everyone loves to talk about their draft night. It's such a special day in terms of realizing your dream going to the NFL. Where were you, Coach, when this happened?
No question. So I was at my dad's house in Anaheim. It was right off of Lakeview Avenue, and my wife Shannon was there. My brother, my friends, and family. And so at the time, I was listed to go anywhere between the 3rd or 5th round. That was kind of like my projection. I was the 10th ranked receiver in the draft, and there was just talks. You just don't know where you're going to go. And so, back then it was 2 days. Back then it was 1 through 3, and then 4 through 7 on the drafts. So it was a different structure. So when I didn't go the first day, I was like, man, I was frustrated. I was like, disappointed. I remember talking to my wife, like, man, what's going on? And then I don't go in the 4th round the next day. And I'm going, man, am I going to get drafted? What is the deal? And then, I remember Dwight Clark called me from the Cleveland Browns. The late, great Dwight Clark called me. He was the general manager for the Cleveland Browns. He called me. He goes, hey, Darrin, we're going to select you with this next pick. And, that was the greatest day of my life. I remember my wife was there. We all We're excited. My dad was there. It was a really cool moment. That's something you'll never forget, And so when Dorian got drafted by the Browns in the 5th round this year, I was ecstatic for him because I know he was probably going through those same emotions, because he's a really good football player. That guy can really throw the ball.
Yeah.
And he's very accurate. And so, I know he was probably, I saw that he was in Vegas for his draft day. And so I'm sure he was frustrated and disappointed that things weren't going. But when you get the call, everything goes away. And now hey, I'm in the NFL. I'm going to play on Sundays. And this is part of my journey. And the guy I was really disappointed for was Jake Bobo. Because Jake Bobo, to me, Bobo is a really, really good football player. And I told him that. When he didn't get drafted, I sent him a long text message. I said, Jake, listen, man, you're an NFL player. And you're going to get your opportunity. And wherever you go, just do what you do. Because he is a phenomenal football player. I know he didn't run the fastest 40 time. But that's not what football's about. It's about creating separation. It's about, your route movement, your stems, your releases, and catching the football. And there wasn't a better person in college football this year than Jake Bobo making tough third down catches, making tough end zone catches. And so I was disappointed for him. But I see the news up in Seattle that he's having a great mini camp, and I see all the feedback. It doesn't surprise me because the guy is a really good football player, knows how to separate. And that's the critical thing about playing receiver is knowing how to separate. And I can relate to that because we're kind of both similar builds in that sense. He's a little taller than me. I was probably a little faster than Jake, but we're similar football players. And so I told him, I said, hey, you're going to be fine, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep your head down and work hard, and you'll make that roster. And I think he will when it's all said and done, And it was obviously great to see the other guys, like Zach get drafted high. He's a stud. I mean, we know that. And Gainsey and Mafi and all those guys get drafted. So, man, what a cool experience for those guys. I know how they feel because I've been there. And, something they're always going to remember that the rest of their lives.
It's a special, special day, man. And you're spot on with Bobo. I think it was something like around 50+% of his catches last year were on third down situations where, you got to move the chains. It's a, hit or miss type of situation. And he always came down with the football. So a lot of love for Jake Bobo, tearing it up in the Seahawks camp right now. Coach, for all the potential recruits maybe listening to this right now, sell us right now, man, on Chaffey and what you guys are going to be bringing to the table.
I mean, here's the thing. The great thing about Chaffey College is that, this is a great opportunity. If you didn't get a Division I scholarship and you believe you're a top tier player, come to Chaffey. Come play for me. My background as a Division I player, Division I, Power 5 assistant. I'm a former NFL player. As far as getting you noticed and getting you on the radar of top programs, you come play for me at Chaffey College. We're going to make that happen because we're building this thing really from scratch. It's going to be 2023s that are coming out of high school that just graduated. So they're going to have a great opportunity not only to play a high level of junior college football, but be in a system that's going to develop them for the 4-year level. And I think that's important. Don't just go to a school because it might have great facilities. Go somewhere where you're going to get developed and get put on the radar for these 4-year schools. And there's not a better place than Chaffey College than playing for Coach Chev, and we'll get it done. So I'm excited to get some guys over there and get it going this year.
Coach Chev, just want to thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. Once a Bruin, always a Bruin. We're going to be following you at Chaffey College, and we wish you nothing but the best, brother. So best of luck to you guys down there at Chaffey.
Thanks, Will. I appreciate it, man. Anytime, just let me know. Would love to come on and talk, later on down the road during the season.
Let's do it, man. Bruin Bible, we are officially out. Is up, Bruin Bible listeners. We have another advertisement for you. We are so lucky to be sponsored by the great people at Athletic Greens. I started taking Athletic Greens specifically because I was lacking energy, lacking focus throughout the day, and needed some special pick-me-up ingredients to make things happen in my life. Athletic Greens has done just that. I've become absolutely addicted to the process. It has over 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source ingredients, probiotics, adaptogens to make your life easier by doing this during the day. I like to take it to start my mornings off. I like to do it before a workout. Makes you feel energized, focused, and just have a lot more energy throughout the day than I typically expected. Right now it's the time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every single day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/LAFB. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/LAFB to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Athletic Greens, a game changer when it comes to your health and your focus and your mindset.